I'm Jeanette.
And I'm Jason. We adopted 3 and 6 years ago. We had been married for 9 years, and both of us had our careers going and everything. We tried to have kids, couldn't have kids, and figured it's probably a good time. We're getting a little older now. It's time to really think seriously. Are we going to make this happen, or are we going to keep going on with our lives as normal? And we just decided this was something really important to us, that we wanted to raise children and have that influence on a young developing person, right? We thought initially just even one child would be plenty for us, that it would just be the life-changing, wonderful thing that we hoped for. And ended up later, we realized, oh, she needs a sibling. It'll be good for her to have a buddy, like somebody to go throughout life with her. So that's when we decided to adopt the second, a 6 and a 3-year-old. We got both of them when they were newborn.
Yeah, it was kind of through word of mouth, through our church. Someone had told us about it, and we just kind of talked to the right people, found Adoption.com, and then we did our home study and everything, and created our profile along that time. And we finally got the home study done. We got to push the button, and that was great.
Yeah. It was weird. I mean, I'll be honest, we'd just been through this long process. Our home study took 9 months because we drug our feet and sort of that was a whole emotional coming to terms with the fact that this was the only way for us to get kids, right? We weren't going to be able to have them by birth ourselves. And so sort of letting go of that old idea of what it was to be a parent and then embracing this led up to that. So we had worked through that emotional stuff before arriving at Adoption.com ready to post our profile, because we waited until our home study was completed before we did that. It was strange. I mean, the world of social media teaches us to present a certain image, and there were a lot of families on there that had really amazing images of themselves, and they were very photogenic. We are not very photogenic.
Which I think actually played to our strengths. When the birth moms started reaching out to us, they were like, you seemed real. We didn't feel like we were putting on a face. Because we literally weren't. We were like, this is just us. Take it or leave it. This is how we feel like we'll raise your kid. Obviously that may change over time as we learn how to be parents, but we've never been parents, so we have no clue. So we were just brutally honest. And that was a little nerve-wracking, because we weren't like the other couples on the website, I feel like. And it worked really fast though.
So we're nerds, as you might have guessed. And so I posted some of my artwork and just other things. I mean, like Jeanette said, we really had no option. It's kind of all we have is us. And I did wonder, if by not presenting a very clean and tidy presentation of ourselves, if we would ever get matched. Because it's how can I compete with families going on all these trips together, and they have relatives all nearby? We were alone in a small apartment at the time with no family within 5 hours and plus. And it was kind of this is who we are and this is where we're at in life. And so we posted, and like Jeanette said, for both adoptions, that ended up being something that resonated with the birth mothers, that they wanted to know that their child was going to be raised by real people that believed in being authentic and down to earth and
realistic.
Yeah, and teaching the same to their children, right? That mattered a lot to them. So it worked out.
So with our first adoption, the birth mom emailed us the same day we posted. And the next day we had a video call with her. And I think it was 2 days after that, we met her and her boyfriend at the time. We just all hit it off really well. Everything felt right. And then start to finish, it was 10 days before our daughter was born. And then 3 days after that, we took her home from the hospital, and we created an open adoption with that one. It's been wonderful.
It was surreal. The whole experience was because we had been warned, oh, you might get scammed, maybe it's not real. And it seemed unreal, but it wasn't. She was legitimately, she had another birth family lined up, or another adoptive family lined up rather, and had fallen through for whatever reason. And she's like, I'm going to have my baby soon. I need to get her into a good home. So it was the holiday season. season and this whole thing. And we like canceled our Christmas plans because there was a chance she was going to be born on Christmas and we just didn't know. And so we had to go buy everything because we had been told it might take as much as like 6 to 9 months minimum, maybe longer, before we were matched. And it was just all so fast. And so we didn't have the baby's room set up. We didn't have a car seat. We didn't have anything. And so we were like, it was the holiday season. So we were rushing to get all these things right before Christmas.
We walked in and we're like, we need everything. And they're like, what do you mean? And we explained and they're like, oh, okay.
Instant baby.
They just took us through everything. You're like, oh, you'll need a car seat. You'll need, it was great.
They were clueless.
Yeah, it was so great. They were
so clueless.
And then the second adoption was our son, and it was both bio parents that contacted us, and it was through email and then text, and then we did a ton of Skype calls just to get to know each other.
They lived further away, so we couldn't meet in person.
Yeah. So then eventually we all just feel really good, and it was probably a month from start to finish on that one when our son was born. And so when she went into labor, it was like, I think late afternoon. So we just decided we would drive out the next morning. And so we packed up ourselves and our daughter and we went up there. And thankfully we actually had some family close by. So we left our daughter with family while we went to the hospital, and we finally got to meet them in person for the first time. And again, everything was just, it seemed like it was meant to be, and everything was.
I don't want people to get the wrong idea like this was easy and smooth. Like both times there's so much emotion, right? Because the birth mom in both cases was like, obviously that's not an ideal situation for her to be in. They didn't have the support of their families. Their immediate families were not there to help them. Like no one was there. So we show up, strangers, we don't know each other, and now we're going to be raising their baby. And there's this phase of getting comfortable with each other or getting to know each other well enough to have this trust. So there's so much respect that needs to be there to build that relationship in an open adoption. And so with our first baby, we stayed in the hospital for 3 days. We slept with our new little girl, and it was like a pull-out couch, so uncomfortable. And the baby kept waking up, and again, we were clueless. We had no idea what we were doing. The nurses were there though through the night to help, so it was nice. And then during the day, we'd get to know birth mom, and we got photos together, and it was like a very sacred and special time where we all got to bond together. And then again with the second adoption, the same thing, where we spent a few days. That time we happened to have family near where they lived, so we didn't stay at the hospital, but every day we were over there. And it was her wish. She's like, I want to spend time with my son. I want to spend the nights with him, and I need the space to like let go. And that was how she worked through it. So we were there for the 3 days as well with them, getting to know them. We got to bring our daughter by, to like meet her new brother, and they got to meet her. And I know this isn't how every birth mom wants to do it, and that's fine. And that was really what we expressed to them was, hey, whatever you need, like whatever looks appropriate for you, we want to let you know that we're here to support you. And if you don't go through with this, we understand. Obviously we're biased. We want another child in our life. That would be amazing, but it's up to you how you want to handle it. And so we played games in the hospital room with them, while she was recovering and while baby was napping, and we just spent time getting to know each other. So I think it was smooth in that it was the right sequence of events, but it was very emotional.
And then still to today, they both follow us on like Instagram and Facebook, so they can see whatever pictures we need. And then we also do texts and sometimes video calls or Skype calls and stuff, whatever they're feeling. Yeah. We're so open with it. We're like, hey, if you want to come visit. With both of them, the bio parents did get to see them for like their first birthday at least. And then it's been kind of hit and miss after that.
There were other calls too that we didn't match with, but there were other birth moms calling us. And this is something we always tell people who are thinking to adopt. I'm like, you have to think about the birth mother, because never is this a great situation for her. Like for you, yeah, maybe it's exciting, a new possibility, a new child. But for her, it's heartbreak, disappointment, anguish, fear, frustration, abandonment, loneliness. All of these feelings come up in a variety of different ways. And they're just making the hardest decision of their life that they're not prepared prepared to make. And they were calling us, and we're not prepared to counsel them on what to do or anything like that. Obviously, like I said, we're biased. We're like, well, yeah, of course we want to have a baby. We'd love to get to know you and see if this works. They have certain options, and we are huge advocates for adoption. I can't imagine, right? I just can't imagine how hard these choices are. All I know is how much adoption has blessed our life, and these two amazing kids. I see them every day, and to think about the miracle that they are, it just, like, yeah, they're a pain. They're crazy. They break stuff. They mess things up. They're loud, but they're little people. They're humans, and they're our children, and we love them unconditionally through all of that. And I just hope for that for more children, like that more kids can get adopted than are being adopted today, that these homes are there to love them and provide for them.
Overall, it was positive and wonderful. And I mean, it's how we got our children. It is a website in which these moms felt safe enough to come onto and hopefully find a loving family for their children. And you guys created that environment for them, and we're forever grateful for that. I wish there was more of a feel of be real. Don't be fake. Don't borrow your neighbor's dog to be in a photo with you to make your family look more well-rounded, I mean, us going into it, we thought, oh, for sure, we're not going to be at the top of the list. There's no way.
Well, our daughter's mom told us, so the best we could do was just to keep it authentic, I guess, as authentic as we could through a photo or a video.
Be real, be honest, be kind of all things. Understanding, no judgment. You need to create a safe space.
I'd say put the birth mom before yourself. I think obviously within limits, you don't want to get into an unhealthy dynamic, but consider her feelings before you consider your own. This is potentially the mother of your future child. There will be a relationship there of some kind. And
whether it's closed or open, yeah.
And it's important that you do what you can to help. This is a labor of love. Raising kids is a labor of love. Adopting a kid is a labor of love.
A labor of love.
Yeah. And so just be mindful, of things outside of your own sphere, and it's amazing what blessings can come from that.
Just be flexible. That's another good word. Flexible. You never know when, where, how all this is going to happen, but just know it'll happen in the right time, and you just got to trust it.
I think adoption is all about taking what begins as a rather sad, and it's a very sad, frustrating situation, turning it into something beautiful. And that doesn't always mean that it comes into what you expect. I mean, children are never what you expect anyway, right? But with adoption, there's the X factor, the added unknown of the birth family. All of these things that your child inherits from that come with the child. You have to be flexible. And that's been an ongoing thing for us, right? And as we've gotten to know our kids' families better over time, that's always been our goal. It's like, we're not looking to change anybody to our idea of what family needs to be, but we are trying to make this as beautiful of a situation for our children as we possibly can. Their needs come first. That's why we wanted to do it.